Alright, this is Sean again from EC369, just going over some of the code that we did for our projects. This next part is about UDP and how much simpler it is. Everyone knows from the work that they did that UDP is much simpler of a protocol than TCP. You just lose some of the benefits like reliability and ordered arrival. You gain some things like speed and simplicity of servers and clients, but the trade-offs are definitely important to note. So again, we have the profile that is generated. We added the network in for our UDP server. Main is very similar. We created a UDP server class. We called it and we did a server.open connection. This one's much simpler. We wrote basically it opens up and it binds. The difference between TCP and UDP obviously is that it doesn't listen and then create new threads for each person. It just binds to a port and sends and receives on it. Nothing crazy going on there. It starts the server and I connect the signal from the socket. So the socket that we create, there's a signal called ready read. We handle that socket with a slot in this method, or in this class rather, this object called handle ready read. And all that handle ready read does, and this is the server side. With UDP we had a few issues with when we sent data, random characters would get added. So what we did is basically you create new areas for an address, the data that comes in, the integer of the port, an unsigned integer for the port, and a string, the string to store the data that comes in. We also have a data size. All these are Qt classes that handle data. They're structures for data. You realistically, and you could use something else, but I found that with using Qt functions, it was easiest to use Qt classes. So we do data size equals socket pending datagram size, and that basically tells us how much data is waiting for us on the socket. And then we use read datagram and we give it a character array. We give it the size of the data. We give it an area to store the address of the user that sent it to us and the port. Our UDP client server worked much more simply. It basically, the user would send data and the server would get it and send the exact same thing back. So all it does is the write datagram has the same string, has the address, and has the port, and then it sends that right back to the person who sent it, the same exact thing, and does the cleanup. But it's much simpler. This way, the way we handled this here, there will be, and there was when we tested, data loss, because as this is going on, if someone else, like Loic for instance, were to send data, it would get ignored because this is currently doing something. If the signal for ready read is going off when we're handling the ready read already, you can't continue to handle ready read. The signal can't continue to fire, just like in an interrupt situation. So you got to think of these as like interrupts. When an interrupt happens in a CPU, you don't get interrupted on top of your interrupt. You'd be in an infinite loop of interrupting. That's the same thing with signals and slots. So this method will continue before the signal will go off again. When the signal goes off again, it goes back to this method over and over again. So with the Loic testing, for some of it, we actually found that we were losing a lot of data depending on the rate at which we were sending it. That's UDP in a nutshell. Qt was pretty fun to use. It's something that we'll definitely continue to use in the future. If anyone has any questions about it, you can ask me or any of the other guys in my group. Hope you enjoyed the video.